outrageous. Their belief on it, after meeting with prosecutors for the Manhattan District Attorney's Office yesterday, Allison, is that it centers around a series of benefits that are paid out, and then those benefits were not properly documented in tax returns. What are we talking about? We're talking about the use of a company car, the use of a company apartment, and then giving that to somebody and not including it on their tax returns. That's what they say they believe it's about after meeting with 8 or 9 prosecutors from Vance's office yesterday and getting the word that those charges are expected to come down. We don't know the specific timing next week, and we don't know whether or not it's going to be more expansive than that or not. But that's the heart of it at this point. Of course, all of this stems from a case that you and I have talked about extensively in an investigation we've talked about extensively going back from the battle for Trump's taxes that winded its way through the Supreme Court not once but twice, and leading up to what appear to be the first criminal charges in this case sometime next week.
So, Tom, I can imagine how the Trump Organization is responding, but I'll let you give us their formal reply.
Sure. Well, the first line from Ron Fischetti, who's the attorney for the Trump Organization, he says it looks like they are going to come down. He's referring to the charges, and he said it is completely outrageous. He says it hurts a lot of innocent people who are working at that company, and they are doing this just to get back at Donald Trump, among other numerous other statements that he made as far as the investigators and the investigation goes. They're obviously not happy about what's occurred. The Trump family apparently communicating to their attorney that the president himself, former president himself, is quite angry about this possibility sometime next week.
All right, Tom Winter, thank you so much for reporting today. I appreciate you.
Sure thing.
President Biden nearing the finish line on a big bipartisan infrastructure bill, but it looks like they may be running into some early trouble there. Republicans not happy about what the president said yesterday, that he wanted both this bipartisan bill and reconciliation as well. Meanwhile, at the White House, Biden's meeting with Afghan President Ashraf Ghani as the U.S. withdraws its troops from Afghanistan. NBC News White House correspondent Monica Alba's in Washington, D.C. Monica, our Capitol team reporting that Republicans are not happy, particularly with the president's comments that he won't sign the bipartisan infrastructure bill unless he also gets reconciliation, tying the two together. What's the White House saying today about keeping this fragile deal alive?
That commitment from the president, Allison, absolutely did ruffle some feathers. And so in today's White House press briefing, the press secretary was asked, has this deal already hit a pothole, since we're all into infrastructure puns right now? And she said, no, absolutely not, that this is really something where the White House wants to be focused on what they perceive as an absolute victory yesterday, given this handshake agreement on the bipartisan framework. But yes, absolutely, there is a concern now because Republicans have said they don't like the fact that the president is tying these two things together. But the White House says that was the plan all along, even though the president maybe hadn't said it as explicitly, that he wanted them to pursue these two tracks. Take a listen to how Jen Psaki responded to this specifically.
One is the significant economic impact. It's going to help create millions of good-paying union jobs. It will also have a huge impact on low-income communities, on communities of color. I'll also note there are huge components of this package that will help address the climate crisis. There's no question there's work ahead, and he's ready to roll up his sleeves and work like hell to get it done.
Jen Psaki was also asked in this briefing, though, what the timeline would look like and how this would work. If the bipartisan framework came to his desk first, would he absolutely need the budget reconciliation process to be there on the same day, or is he willing to, again, be a little bit flexible? And she said, again, quite emphatically, she will not sign one without the other. And as far as what we can expect in terms of how long this is going to take, Allison, it's going to stretch well into the summer, potentially not wrapping up until somewhere in the September timeframe.
Monica, I understand the president also had a call today with Senator Kyrsten Sinema. Can you tell us what that was about? What do you know?
This stood out to us because we also wanted to know who initiated this call. And based on the White House readout, the word reiterate was in there a lot of times. So this seemed to be, is this a senator who was a little bit concerned again about the president's own words and vow yesterday? But the White House says that no, this was a call that both sides wanted to have, and that the president was happy to reiterate to Senator Sinema that this was something that they could do, and that she apparently, according to the White House at least, agreed with that, and that she was okay okay to see both of these things occurring, in their words, in tandem. So we'll have to see whether all the other senators can do this, because, again, we've talked about this so much, Allison. Of course, now the president is happy. He campaigned on bipartisanship, but can he keep his own party together? That's a whole nother challenge, because Democrats may not be able to agree on the size and scope of the budget reconciliation. If Republicans are upset about this other thing, then yes, fragile is the word to describe this deal that yesterday they were very happy about, but that still has a very steep uphill climb to go.
And Monica, quickly before you go, I know President Biden was meeting with the Afghan president. What do we know about that meeting today?
And this is significant on a couple of fronts. Of course, we know that the president has vowed to withdraw troops from Afghanistan before the 20th anniversary of the September 11th attack. So we know that's going to be taking place quite soon. But then there's a huge question about all of these Afghan nationals who were so helpful to the U.S. over the last 2 decades, of course, and what happens to them. So we now know that under some special immigrant visas, many of them are going to be relocated, but we don't have the specifics on how many and to where, or whether any of them will be coming to the United States. But we know that that was a topic of discussion, in addition to COVID vaccines, which the U.S. has also pledged to Afghanistan at this point, Allison.
All right, Monica Alba, with a wrap-up of everything happening at the White House today. Thanks so much.
Being in Guatemala, being in Mexico, talking with Mexico as a partner, frankly, on the issue, was about addressing the causes, and then coming to the border at the advice and actually the invitation of the Congresswoman is about looking at the effects of what we have seen happening in Central America. And so I'm glad to be here. It was always the plan to come here.
Vice President Harris touring a Border Patrol facility in El Paso, Texas today, seeing the migrant situation there firsthand. NBC News correspondent Jacob Soboroff is there.
Allison, Vice President Harris came here to El Paso because it's the place that the family separation policy started under the Trump administration. And the administration, the Biden administration, believes that this is a place where they can lean into their message of pivoting away from what they call the cruelty of that administration to what they hope will be a fair, safe, humane, and orderly immigration system that they would like to create. But they're being criticized both on the right and on the left for this visit and the policies that remain in place from the Trump administration. Vice President Harris spoke to reporters and at her stops along the way here in El Paso earlier. This is what she said.
When we have this conversation about what's happening at the border, let's not lose sight of the fact that we're talking about human beings. And so let's recognize with a sense of humanity that these issues must be addressed in a way that is informed by fact and informed by reality.
Those criticisms on the right are about coming here to El Paso and not the Rio Grande Valley, where the vast majority of apprehensions occur. But that is not new. That's a historical fact, and it continues to be true to this day. And she's being criticized on the left for not moving fast enough towards that humane system that this administration has said.
Now back to Surfside, Florida. MSNBC anchor Ali Velshi is there. He joins me now. Ali, just an unbelievable risk that rescuers there are taking. They're searching beneath piles of rubble, what's left of this building. What's the latest in the building's stability? What can you tell us about their search for survivors today? And wonderful to see you, my friend.
And you, I'm sorry, it's always under circumstances like these. I just actually watched a couple of dozen urban search and rescue workers go in. It's been hampered by weather a little bit. It's been very rainy around here. The rain itself doesn't stop the workers from working. There was some lightning in the area last night. That did delay them. But fundamentally, it makes the job harder because they are in a building where they don't understand what caused it. So they don't understand the parts that are remaining standing, how stable they are. A part of this building has pancaked, so there's literally no space between the floors. So firefighters are looking for, and other rescue workers are looking for voids, air spaces where people might be. They're using sonar, they're using cameras, they're using infrared, they're using dogs, they're listening for cries from people. But it has not been a very successful day so far. Overnight, we learned that 4 people have been killed in this so far, but the number of people unaccounted for has now risen to 159. Now, the mayor of Miami-Dade County was clear to say that the 159 doesn't mean that they believe there are 159 people in that building. It means that those are the people they cannot take off the list, who they think might have been there, who might have been residents, who might have been renting a place there, might have been visiting. They've not been able to take those people off the list, and all day that number has not come down. It's only gone up. It was 99 last night. Now it's 159. So workers have worked through the night. They only stop when there is lightning, but it is slow going because they don't know. They don't want to do something that causes an airspace or a void to cave in. Then they've got their own safety to look after. So you can look at these pictures. It is remarkable. It is very dangerous. But we look again right behind me. If we could just put, well, you'll see it in a second. There's still more people coming in. You see the tools and the implements that they're carrying with them, the helmets.
Yeah.
They are ready to go in there, and there has been an influx of people, food trucks, volunteers, cars coming in, people bringing water. So people are praying and they are trying to help, but it is slow going.
Yeah. And Allie, I understand they've